Hello and welcome everyone to lesson 3 of unit 1 of a lecture series on communication skills. This is Dr. Mahesh Shinde from KIT's College of Engineering, Kolhapur. In previous lessons, we have seen various aspects of communication skills. For example, lesson 1 discussed about importance of communication, why communication is so important to human beings, origin of the word communication, that is from Latin word communicare, various definitions. Lesson 2 discussed about various characteristics of communication, such as it is a two-way process, it is a dynamic process, it is a systematic process, and so on, and various levels of communication such as extrapersonal, intrapersonal, interpersonal, organizational, and mass. Lesson 3 on elements and cycle or process of communication. The objectives of this lesson are studying various elements involved in communication process and understanding the communication cycle or communication process. Before I begin, let me just quote one interesting quote by Robert Frost, which is the reality of all the times. According to him, half the world is composed of people who have something to say and they cannot, and the other half who have nothing to say and keep on saying it. It indicates the importance of effective communication skills. The people who have a lot of things to say but they cannot say because they are not able to effectively put it. But half of the people are there who have nothing to say, just effective way of communicating their ideas. That is the reality of the world. That indicates the importance of knowing need of effective communication skills. So let us understand what are the different elements involved in communication process so that we overcome some kind of problems and also we make our communication effective. So elements are, first one, sender or the source, who has some ideas, some thoughts in his or her mind, and the sender, that person, wants to share that those thoughts to someone else. Second important element is receiver, who intends to receive some ideas or the thoughts or the knowledge. He or she shares the common communication background along with the receiver, and the receiver intends to receive the information. Third important element is message. Message is nothing but the information, the thoughts or the knowledge or the emotions or thoughts, etc. to be expressed, to be sent, to be conveyed by the sender to the receiver. Feedback is the most important aspect of the communication cycle. It is nothing but receiver's response to the sender. The medium or the channel is nothing but the way of sending that message to the receiver. It can be verbal, that is, it can be oral or written, or sometimes it can be non-verbal without using any words. Purpose or the goal is nothing but the intention. Along with a message, along with proper channel, a receiver should have a purpose or a goal in his or her mind, which is to be understood in the same way by the receiver. And finally, the most important aspect is the context or the environment, nothing but relevant or appropriate situation for a communication to take place. Let us understand the communication cycle. You can see the sender, message, receiver, and feedback, the important aspects. So sender has some ideas in his mind and he has a goal in his mind. He encodes those ideas, those goals, and that is converted into a message, or that becomes a message. The message is conveyed or forwarded to the receiver through a proper medium or a channel, which can be verbal, that is with the help of words, or it can be non-verbal, that is without using any words. The receiver receives the sent message and decodes that message as per his understanding and as per the need of the situation, and based on that he creates a kind of response in his mind and gives feedback to the sender. So this entire communication process takes place in a particular context. Let me further focus on the role of each and every element. So sender and receiver, they must share a common background. They must be intended to understand something, to share something. There should be a proper selection of channel, and a receiver is supposed to give the intended feedback to the sender. Along with that, the entire communication process should take place in a particular context or environment. For example, a classroom is a communication context to teach and learn. A marriage function is a communication context to talk about relatives and their whatabouts, and so on. A seminar is a context where discussion on various aspects may take place. That's why it's very essential to understand the context. Now, can you pause for few seconds and think on what are the essential things for communication to be successful? That is, what according to you, what are the prerequisite things, what are the must things for communication to become effective communication? Just pause the video and think for a while. I hope you have come up with some ideas. Let us see what are those. Number one, for communication to be successful, there is a need of common communication environment or context. Sender and receiver must share that common communication context. A cooperation between the sender and the receiver. Sender must intend to send something in the same way. Receiver must be in position to receive that information. Selection of an appropriate channel or medium. Correct encoding and decoding of the message, and receipt of the desired response and feedback as sender started with. These are the essential components of successful communication. If anything is missing from that, communication may not be successful. So let me end this lesson with another quote by Tony Robbins. According to him, the way we communicate with others and with ourselves ultimately determines the quality of our lives. That is, we must be able to effectively communicate not only with ourselves but also with others, because ultimately our quality of life depends on that particular way. Thank you very much, and this is the end of lesson 3. Let us see remaining part in lesson 4. Thank you.